Welcome back to the Deep Dive. I'm your host, and today, wow, we're really embarking on a fascinating exploration. We're going deep inside ourselves.
We certainly are.
We're going to unpack MOTS-c. It's this peptide that honestly has been generating so much buzz in scientific circles, especially since, what, 2015?
That's right, relatively recent.
And joining me to guide us through this, well, intricate molecular world is our expert guest, a brilliant molecular biologist specializing in these mitochondrial peptides. It's really great to have your expertise here today.
It's wonderful to be here. Honestly, this is a topic that gets me really excited. It's, opening up completely new ways of thinking about metabolism, how our cells talk to each other, maybe even healthy aging. There's just this palpable sense of discovery around it.
I can definitely feel that excitement. And yeah, when we talk about MOTS-c, the thing that grabs you immediately is these almost exercise-like effects, right? And its undeniable role in our metabolism. It's almost like our cells have this, I don't know, secret fitness coach built in. So get ready, everyone listening, because we're about to dive deep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's unpack this. All right, let's start right at the beginning. What exactly is MOTS-c, and where does it even come from in our bodies? Let's build that foundation.
Okay, absolutely. So at its most basic, MOTS-c is a peptide, but it's a tiny peptide.
Tiny how?
Like really tiny. We're talking about a chain of maybe 16 amino acids. Just to give you some perspective, most proteins, the ones doing the heavy lifting in our cells, they're usually hundreds, sometimes thousands of amino acids long.
Wow, okay, so this is super compact.
Incredibly compact, little messenger molecule. Now, here's where it gets really unique. Unlike, almost all other proteins our body makes, which come from the instructions in our the DNA in the cell's main nucleus.
Right.
MOTS-c is actually encoded in the mitochondrial DNA.
Wait, hold on. So it's literally made by the mitochondria, the powerhouses themselves.
Exactly. That's kind of the mind-blowing part.
That's amazing. A little peptide messenger coming right from inside our cells' energy factories.
Precisely. And that detail is so crucial because it really highlights the unique biology here. Mitochondria, yeah, everyone calls them the powerhouses because they make ATP, our energy currency. But they actually have their own separate circular genome. It's this fascinating leftover from their evolutionary past, way back when they were basically free-living bacteria.
Right, the endosymbiosis theory.
Exactly. And within that special mitochondrial genome, specifically in what's called an open reading frame of the 12S ribosomal RNA gene, that's where MOTS-c is made.
Okay, that explains the complicated name I saw. Mitochondrial open reading frame of the 12S rRNA type C.
That's the one. A bit of a mouthful, isn't it? So because of where it comes from, it gets classified as a mitochondrial-derived peptide, or MDP.
MDP, okay.
Yeah. You'll also hear it called a mitochondrial hormone, or maybe mitokine. And that's because, and this is another key point, unlike a lot of stuff made in the mitochondria that just stays there, MOTS-c actually gets secreted. It moves out into the main part of the cell, the cytoplasm, and can even get into the bloodstream.
So it travels like a hormone.
Exactly like a hormone. It acts like a signaling molecule communicating between different organs and tissues. And like you said, its discovery, or at least its proper description in the literature, was only around 2015. So it's genuinely new and really exciting for molecular biology.
So it's almost like our mitochondria are sending out these little signal text messages to the rest of the body, telling it what's going on with energy, what's needed.
That's a fantastic analogy, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a direct line from the energy centers, basically broadcasting, Here's the energy situation, here are the metabolic demands, so the whole body can coordinate a response.
That really does change how you think about cell communication. Okay, so one term I keep hearing, and it sounds almost too good to be true, is exercise mimetic.
Ah, yes, the famous term.
What exactly does that mean? Does it mean I can skip the gym?
Well, not quite skipping the gym, unfortunately. But it's an evocative term, and it does capture something essential about MOTS-c. Exercise mimetic means it can mimic some of the really beneficial effects you get from physical exercise.
Some of them. Like which ones?
Specifically at the cellular and metabolic level. So think about what happens when you exercise regularly. Your cells get much better at using glucose, right? Your body starts burning fat more efficiently for fuel, your insulin sensitivity improves. Overall, metabolic health gets a big boost.
Okay.
Well, research shows pretty clearly that MOTS-c activates a lot of those very same metabolic pathways.
So it's not like it replaces going for a run, but it triggers the internal stuff that running triggers. Is that the idea?
You've got it exactly. It's like there's an internal workout switch inside your cells, and MOTS-c can help flip that switch even if you aren't physically active at that exact moment. And what's really compelling is that studies have observed that people with, greater muscle fitness people who are generally more active and metabolically healthy, they tend to have higher levels of MOTS-c circulating in their blood.
Ah, okay. So there's a correlation there in humans.
A strong correlation. That was one of the early clues that got researchers thinking MOTS-c was involved in how we adapt to exercise. And reinforcing that, actually doing physical exercise does raise MOTS-c levels. We see this in mice, and we see it in humans too.
So it's like a feedback loop. Exercise makes you produce more MOTS-c.
Exactly.
And then the MOTS-c helps your body handle the energy demands of that exercise better.
Precisely. Exercise triggers it, and then it helps manage energy, optimize fuel use, adapt to that metabolic demand. It really seems like a core part of how our bodies respond to physical stress and energy use.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting for me. How does this tiny little messenger actually do all that? How does it work its magic inside the body? Going from the mitochondria to influencing, overall metabolism seems like a huge job for such a small peptide.
It is a remarkable journey, isn't it? So, as we said, it starts deep inside the mitochondria, but it doesn't stay there.
Right, it gets secreted.
It gets secreted into the cytoplasm, that's the main body of the cell, and then, crucially, it can get released into the bloodstream. That's why we call it a mitokine or mitochondrial hormone.
Because it travels systemically.
Exactly. It can go to distant organs, distant tissues, and act on a whole body level. And its release seems to be triggered by cellular stress.
Right, exercise.
Like exercise, yes. Or things like starvation, fasting, other big metabolic challenges. Basically, situations where the cells really need to change how they're handling energy.
So it's like a flare signal going up. Attention, body! We're under metabolic stress, need to adjust energy strategy now.
That's a great way to put it. And the main way it does this, the mechanism we understand best, is by activating an enzyme called AMPK.
AMPK. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, it comes up a lot in metabolism research. AMPK stands for AMP-activated protein kinase. Scientists often call it the master energy sensor of the cell.
The master sensor.
Think of it as the central controller for the cell's energy balance. When MOTS-c activates AMPK, it basically tells cells, especially muscle and liver cells, okay, shift into high-gear fuel-burning mode.
Right.
And this has several really important effects. It makes cells take up more glucose from the blood, which lowers blood sugar.
Good for diabetes, potentially.
Very relevant, yes.
Yeah.
At the same time, it ramps up fat burning,
Yeah.
using fat for fuel instead of storing it. And maybe most importantly, it improves insulin sensitivity. So this whole activation package essentially makes the cells behave as if they were exercising, even if they're at rest.
Wow.
And just to underline how critical AMPK is here, many studies have shown that if you block the AMPK pathway pharmacologically or genetically, a lot of the beneficial effects of MOTS-c just disappear or are greatly reduced.
So AMPK is absolutely key to how MOTS-c works.
It seems to be the central player, yes. Indispensable for many of its major actions.
That's fascinating. So it's not just sending a signal, it's directly kicking off these core energy processes. But you also mentioned something about regulating gene expression. How does a peptide get into the nucleus and start changing which genes are on or off? That sounds like the mitochondria talking directly to the cell's main control room.
It is pretty amazing, isn't it? And your observation is spot on. That ability is one of the most advanced and, frankly, unique things about MOTS-c. Yes, this small peptide can actually get into the cell's nucleus.
Wow.
The exact mechanism is still being worked out, but it happens. And once it's there in the nucleus, it directly influences the activity of certain genes.
Which ones?
Specifically, genes involved in handling cellular stress and in metabolism. So it's not just tweaking energy use in the moment, it's actually helping to shape the cell's longer-term strategy and response.
So like dialing down inflammation.
Yeah, exactly. It can dial down pro-inflammatory signals, which is generally good for cell health. And conversely, it can dial up the expression of genes that make antioxidant defenses.
Helping protect the cell from damage.
Precisely, mitigating oxidative stress. And this direct link, where MOTS-c triggers these nuclear transcription pathways, often, again through AMPK activation, It really is extraordinary for something made in the mitochondria. It supports that idea you mentioned, mitochondria talking directly to the nucleus.
It's a whole new level of internal communication we're just starting to map out.
Absolutely. We're only just beginning to appreciate how interconnected these different parts of the cell really are.
So it's not just burn more fuel now. It's also like, okay, cell, let's prepare better for future stress and energy needs. Like a long-term planner inside the cell.
That's a great way to think about it. It's both reactive and proactive. And to give you a concrete example, especially in muscle cells, MOTS-c really influences the balance between building muscle up and breaking it down.
How so?
It's been shown quite clearly to lower the levels of a protein called myostatin.
Myostatin. I know that one. It stops muscle growth, right? Yeah. Bodybuilders try to block it.
That's the one. It's basically the brakes on muscle growth. So by reducing myostatin, MOTS-c helps protect against muscle wasting or atrophy.
Which is huge for aging or illness.
Exactly. Very important for sarcopenia, the muscle loss with age or wasting from chronic diseases. So its actions are really broad, covering both immediate energy use and longer-term tissue maintenance.
Okay, let's pivot a bit to the practical side, the metabolic impact. How exactly does MOTS-c affect things like our blood sugar, fat burning? What does this mean for us, for you listening, especially if you're interested in metabolic health or maybe managing prediabetes?
Right. This is where that exercise mimetic idea really hits home in terms of potential benefits. As we've established, by firing up AMPK, MOTS-c pushes the body into that higher gear fuel burning mode. And the direct results, well, significantly improve glucose uptake by the cells. That pulls sugar out of the bloodstream, lowering blood sugar levels.
Very effectively.
Quite effectively, yes. And at the same time, a big increase in fat burning, using fat for energy. To give you a sense of the power here, some animal studies actually compared MOTS-c's effect on lowering glucose to what you might get from, say, an hour of decent aerobic exercise.
An hour's worth from a peptide. Wow.
It gives you an idea of the metabolic shift it can induce. It seems to work by getting more glucose transporters to the cell surface and boosting the enzymes needed for burning fatty acids. It's really retuning the whole system.
That's a powerful comparison. So for someone struggling with blood sugar or just trying to get their body to use fuel better, this sounds incredibly promising, making the body more efficient.
That's a great way to put it. And beyond just burning fuel, it also clearly improves insulin sensitivity.
Which is key.
Absolutely key. Insulin tells your cells to take up glucose, especially after you eat. Insulin resistance is when cells stop listening to that signal, right? That's the hallmark of metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes.
Right. Blood sugar stays high.
Exactly. Well, studies in mice consistently show that animals treated with MOTS-c clear glucose from their blood much faster and more effectively than untreated ones.
So it makes the cells listen to insulin again.
It strongly suggests that, yes. It seems to resensitize the cells to insulin's signal, allowing for much better glucose control. This impact on insulin sensitivity is really fundamental for metabolic health.
Okay, what about weight gain? Fat storage? Can it help there? It almost sounds like it could counteract a bad diet to some extent.
That's another area where the results have been really striking. In multiple mouse studies, they fed the animals high-fat diets. You know, the kind designed to make them gain weight, get fatty liver, become insulin resistant.
The standard Western diet model, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. And in those studies, MOTS-c treatment prevented a lot of that. The mice given MOTS-c didn't gain as much weight, didn't accumulate as much body fat.
Really? Despite the diet?
Despite the diet. And importantly, their insulin responses stayed much healthier. They didn't become insulin resistant like the control group. Plus, it significantly reduced fat buildup in the liver.
Which is huge for preventing fatty liver disease, right?
Absolutely. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and AFLD is a massive issue linked to obesity and insulin resistance. MOTS-c seemed to protect against that too. So you're right, it really does seem to promote metabolic homeostasis, keeping things balanced, pushing cells to burn energy efficiently, store less fat. It provides a buffer against some negative dietary effects.
That is powerful. It's not just superficial. It's like helping the body reset to a healthier, more efficient metabolic state from the inside out, even when challenged.
Exactly. It encourages what we call metabolic flexibility, the ability to switch efficiently between burning glucose and burning fat and maintain balance even under stress. That's a hallmark of a healthy system.
Okay, based on all this, MOTS-c sounds almost too good to be true. So, focusing on the animal studies where a lot of this comes from, what are some of the most compelling findings? Can you give us some concrete examples that really show its potential?
Oh, absolutely. The animal studies are definitely where MOTS-c first made a huge splash, and the evidence there is quite robust. One of the most striking findings, seen repeatedly, is its effect on physical performance and endurance.
Like making mice run farther.
Significantly farther. In one key study, older mice, given MOTS-c, ran much farther on a treadmill compared to untreated older mice. And we're not talking a small difference. It was a major boost in their running distance and overall muscle function. It really improved their health span.
Health span, meaning the time they stay healthy and functional.
Exactly. And what's really impressive is this worked even in very old mice, like 23-month-old mice, which is roughly like a human in their 70s.
Wow.
Even these really old mice showed better endurance, better glucose control, just better overall health metrics with MOTS-c treatment, even with just intermittent injections.
So it's not just for the young ones. It's helping older animals stay vital, stay functional as they age. That's incredible.
That's absolutely the point, yes. It's about enhancing fitness and resilience across the lifespan, and maybe pushing back against that age-related decline in muscle and metabolism. Another really consistent finding is that resistance to diet-induced obesity.
Right, the high-fat diet study.
Yes. Mice on those diets, if they got MOTS-c, they consistently gained less weight, stored less fat, and crucially, didn't develop insulin resistance.
Despite eating the same bad diet.
Despite eating the same bad diet. It really suggests MOTS-c acts as a powerful metabolic buffer, protecting against the harms of caloric excess.
It's like it gives the body this shield, helping it override some of the negative consequences of a poor diet, an extra layer of metabolic defense.
It really seems that way. It steers the body towards a healthier state even when challenged. And there's more the muscle maintenance part.
Ah, yes, preventing muscle loss.
Exactly. In both overweight mice and aging mice, MOTS-c help prevent muscle atrophy, that wasting process. And we know part of how it does that is by lowering myostatin, the muscle growth inhibitor.
Right.
So if you put all the animal data together, it paints this remarkably consistent picture. Improved metabolism, better endurance, enhanced insulin function, muscle protection, across many different experiments and conditions.
So yeah, there's a lot of compelling animal data. No wonder people are so excited about it. That clearly explains the buzz.
It absolutely does. The consistency and the strength of these findings in animals is really what has fueled all the excitement and the drive to understand it in humans.
Okay, so the animal studies are compelling, absolutely. But the big question for everyone listening is, what about humans? Do we know anything about MOTS-c in us? Are these effects translating?
That is the crucial next step, yes. And it's really important to start by saying the human evidence is still quite early days. It's much more limited compared to the animal work.
Okay, caveat noted.
But we do know humans have MOTS-c. It's in our blood, it's in our muscles, just like in animals. And some small studies are giving us intriguing hints. For example, one study looked at people doing a 16-week exercise program.
Yeah.
They found that exercise did increase MOTS-c levels in their blood. And interestingly, the people in that study who also lost significant body fat, they had even bigger increases in MOTS-c.
Wow.
And those higher MOTS-c levels were then linked to, better markers of insulin sensitivity and further fat reduction.
That directly mirrors the animal findings exercise boost MOTS-c in humans, and higher levels seem to track with better metabolic health outcomes. That feels significant, right?
It is definitely a very promising correlation. It strongly suggests MOTS-c is part of our natural response to exercise and maybe a marker of good metabolic health. Other researchers have seen interesting things too. Like sometimes people with obesity or type 2 diabetes seem to have lower baseline MOTS-c levels compared to lean, healthy individuals.
Lower levels in metabolic disease.
Some studies suggest that yes. For instance, one found lean, insulin-sensitive men tended to have higher circulating MOTS-c than men who are obese or insulin-resistant. But again, these are mostly correlations right now. Association, not necessarily proven causation from big human trials yet.
Got it. So the human picture is still emerging, but the signs we have are pointing in a positive direction. We're not at the stage of clinical trials for MOTS-c as a therapy yet, though.
Exactly. Most human work is still observational or very small experiments. We definitely don't have large, randomized, placebo-controlled trials testing MOTS-c as a treatment for specific diseases. That said, it's a very active research area. And it's worth mentioning that some companies are developing synthetic versions, MOTS-c analogs.
Modified versions, why modify it?
Potentially for better stability in the body, maybe easier delivery or slightly tweaked effects. And these analogs have gone into early phase 1 safety trials in healthy volunteers.
Any problems?
So far, reports suggest no major safety issues popped up in those initial trials, which is good news, a crucial first step. But these are very, very early days in the long road of drug development.
Okay. So early days, but promising signs in humans too. This naturally leads to the bigger picture question. Could MOTS-c realistically be used down the line to help aging people, improve endurance, treat insulin resistance in the clinic? What's the long-term vision here?
That really is the ultimate goal, isn't it? And it's what's driving so much of the research. What's particularly interesting here is the finding that our natural MOTS-c levels seem to drop as we get older.
They decline with age. In humans, too.
Yes, seen in both animal models and in humans. This age-related decline has led to a strong hypothesis. Maybe, just maybe, falling MOTS-c levels are part of the reason we experience age-related frailty, muscle loss, sarcopenia, and that metabolic slowdown that happens to many of us.
So not just a marker of aging, but maybe a cause or contributor to metabolic aging itself. So that's a big idea.
It's a very compelling hypothesis being actively tested. And the animal data really supports it. Remember those older mice?
Yeah, the ones that ran farther.
Exactly. Giving them MOTS-c actually reversed some of those age-related changes. Better blood sugar control, stronger muscles, more endurance. Some studies even showed the treated aging mice not only lived a bit longer on average, but they stayed physically active and healthier for longer.
So it improved their health span, not just lifespan.
Precisely. That's the really exciting part, extending the period of healthy, functional life, not just adding years.
That's fantastic. So it enables them to live better, more actively. And it sounds like it mimics things we already know are good for aging.
It really does. You hit on a key point. MOTS-c seems to mimic many benefits of two of the best-known strategies for healthy aging: regular exercise and calorie restriction.
Both known to improve metabolism and extend health span.
Exactly. And since exercise itself boosts MOTS-c, it looks like MOTS-c might be one of the body's own internal signals, one way that exercise actually delivers its benefits. Scientists are starting to see it as this crucial metabolic activator or exercise signal that helps keep cells healthy as we age.
So the potential, if you could harness that signal.
The potential, especially for older adults who can't exercise effectively due to illness, disability, frailty, is huge. Imagine if a MOTS-c-based therapy could offer them some of those systemic benefits. Slowing decline in heart health, preserving muscle, improving metabolism. It could genuinely improve quality of life.
The potential impact there is just immense, especially for people with mobility issues. But speaking of performance, athletes must be interested, right, given the endurance sprint. But you mentioned it's banned for them. Are sports authorities really worried about MOTS-c?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very astute point. And yes, the concern from anti-doping agencies is very real. Because of those effects on endurance and metabolism shown so clearly in animals, MOTS-c definitely caught the eye of people looking for a performance edge.
Predictably, I guess.
Predictably. So the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, they've put MOTT squarely on their prohibited list.
Under what category?
It's listed under metabolic modulators, specifically as an AMPK activator, targeting that master energy switch we talked about.
So, bottom line, if an athlete uses it, it's doping. Completely off limits.
Unequivocally, yes. Under current rules, using MOTS-c is a doping violation. WADA's reasoning is clear. 1, it's unapproved as a medicine. 2, it has shown performance-enhancing potential, even if mostly in animals so far.
Makes sense from their perspective.
And the U.S. anti-doping agency, USADA, they've issued specific warnings about it too. They stress it's experimental, unapproved, and even though some, let's say, less regulated clinics might market it for weight loss or anti-aging, it's illegal in sport. It really highlights the caution everyone, not just athletes, needs to take with unapproved substances lacking solid human safety data.
That's a strong warning. Underscores just how experimental this stuff is outside of proper research.
Absolutely. Promising science in the lab doesn't automatically mean safe or permissible for use, especially when performance enhancement is involved. The path to an approved therapy is long for very good reasons.
Okay, looking forward then. What's next for MOTS-c research? What are scientists digging into now? Seems like we'll be hearing about this for years to come.
You're right, I think we will. The field is incredibly active. It really feels like a new frontier. One big area is just getting a deeper understanding of how it works inside the cell, especially how it gets into the nucleus and activates genes.
Like deciphering that communication line between mitochondria and nucleus.
Exactly. How does this tiny mitochondrial peptide manage that trip and influence gene activity? It's like decoding a complex biological language. Beyond the basic science, labs everywhere are testing MOTS-c in various disease models.
Like what?
Everything from heart disease, looking at blood vessel function, to neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's or Parkinson's because of its links to cellular stress and energy, and of course muscle wasting conditions given the myostatin connection.
Sarcopenia, cachexia.
Right. Plus, there are these intriguing genetic links popping up. Some research suggests that small variations in the MOTS-c gene sequence might be linked to higher diabetes risk in some people.
Which could lead to personalized approaches eventually.
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
It opens up those possibilities. And then there's the whole drug development side.
Trying to make actual therapies.
Exactly. Creating stable MOTS-c-based drugs. That means figuring out dosing. Delivery injections seem necessary now, but maybe patches or nanoparticles in the future, and, crucially, long-term safety. Plus, researchers are also looking at other mitochondrial peptides, like humanin SHLPs.
Are they related?
They seem to be part of a larger network. How do they all interact? Do they work together? It's a whole system of mitochondrial communication we're just starting to uncover.
So, if all this pans out, what are some of the really exciting potential applications scientists are dreaming about? Even if they're still speculative.
Well, keeping the speculative hat on firmly, based on the animal data and current understanding. Number 1, diabetes and obesity. Improving insulin sensitivity, preventing fat gain. It could be a powerful new tool for type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, fatty liver disease.
Anyway, that's huge.
Number 2, muscle wasting conditions. Sarcopenia, muscle loss from cancer. Lowering myostatin could preserve muscle mass, improve quality of life dramatically.
Makes sense.
Then there's that idea of the exercise alternative. For people truly unable to exercise due to illness or disability, offering some of the metabolic, maybe cardiovascular muscle benefits, that would be transformative.
Absolutely.
Maybe cardiovascular health. Early hints suggest it might improve blood vessel function, reduce oxidative stress. Could that lead to treatments for high blood pressure, atherosclerosis? Still very early days there.
More speculative.
Definitely more speculative. And finally, the big one, healthy aging and longevity. Could MOTS-c, by boosting defenses, optimizing energy, maintaining flexibility, actually help delay age-related decline across the board? Extend health span. That's sort of the ultimate goal for many in the field.
It really does sound like science fiction becoming science fact. Incredibly exciting.
It feels that way sometimes, yes, but it's all grounded in rigorous science. It's a very promising peptide, huge potential, but science has to move carefully, methodically from discovery to safe, effective application.
And that leads perfectly to our next and really critical point. What do listeners absolutely need to know about using peptides like MOTS-c that aren't officially approved? Sounds like there's a real danger zone here.
Alex, this is so important. I can't stress it enough. MOTS-c is not an approved drug, not by the FDA, not by the EMA in Europe, not anywhere.
Period.
Period. All the human data we have is incredibly limited, mostly observations or tiny early safety trials of related compounds, not even necessarily MOTS-c itself. Almost everything we know about its effects comes from animal studies.
So if someone tries to buy this online or somewhere sketchy, the quality, purity, that could be a massive issue.
A massive, potentially dangerous issue, absolutely. You have zero guarantee about what's actually in that vial. Is it safe? Is it pure? Does it even contain MOTS-c? Is the dose right? You could be injecting contaminants, something totally different. Who knows? USADA has warned about this, specifically reports of side effects like heart palpitations, fever, weird reactions in people self-experimenting with unregulated peptides. It's just not worth the risk.
Huge risk. Okay, beyond purity, any other practical problems, if it ever did become a therapy?
Well, yes. It's a peptide, right? Made of amino acids. That means you can't take it as a pill.
Your stomach would just digest it.
Exactly. Stomach acid, enzymes, they'd just break it down. Useless. So any therapy would have to be via injections.
Which isn't ideal long-term.
It's inconvenient, yeah. Can affect whether people stick with it. Plus, injections always carry risks. Site reactions, inflammation, maybe infection, even developing an immune response against a peptide itself over time.
Or your body starts attacking it.
Potentially, yeah. Which could make it less effective or cause other problems.
And what about biological risks? If it's so powerful at tweaking metabolism, could it push things too far? Unintended consequences.
That's a very valid concern. Activating AMPK is powerful, but overdoing any core pathway could have downsides. Theoretically, maybe a risk of hypoglycemia, blood sugar dropping too low, especially if someone's already prone to that or taking other diabetes meds.
Like metformin. Could it interact badly?
Could interact, yeah. Potentially causing an additive effect that's too strong. We just don't know the long-term effects of constantly manipulating the system for months or years. Does it upset some other balance? And the cancer question always lurks with things affecting cell growth or survival, though. To be clear, no red flags have been raised for MOTS-c specifically on that front so far.
So definitely not a one-size-fits-all thing. People might respond very differently.
Exactly. We already see hints of that. Obese versus lean animals might react differently. One human study suggested the correlation with insulin sensitivity was there in lean people, but not obese people. So any future treatment would likely need to be very personalized, carefully monitored. Bottom line. MOTS-c is experimental science. It belongs in research labs, not medicine cabinets. Self-experimenting is just too risky.
This has been absolutely fascinating, truly a really insightful deep dive into MOTS-c. You've shed so much light on this mitochondrial messenger. It's so clear there's huge potential, but yeah, also so much still to learn.
My pleasure. It really is one of the most dynamic areas in metabolic research right now.
So for you listening, the key takeaway today, MOTS-c. Is this incredibly intriguing peptide, seems to mimic many benefits of exercise, plays this vital role in metabolism, and offers these tantalizing glimpses of future health applications, especially for metabolic health and maybe aging. However, and this is the big but, it is still very much under intense study. It's absolutely not approved for human use. But the idea of a workout switch inside our cells, or mitochondria literally texting the nucleus to improve our health, it's not science fiction anymore. And it raises this really exciting question. What other hidden signals might our bodies be sending? Signals just waiting to be discovered. And how could finding them completely reshape how we understand health, disease, and aging itself? And a quick reminder to our listeners, the mentioned products and peptides are not intended to refer to any peptides or products sold by Power Peptides. Products sold are strictly for research purposes and not intended for human consumption. If you found this deep dive as captivating as we did, please make sure you subscribe to the deep dive for more conversations like this one.
Until next time, stay curious about science and keep exploring. Goodbye.